Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am very, I am very thankful to Fifth International Conference on Applied Zoology 2022, which is organized by the Applied Zoological Society of Pakistan and Khwaja Farooq University of Engineering and Information Technology, Rahim Yar Khan, Punjab, Pakistan. I am Dr. Azhar, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Government College University, Faisalabad. The topic of my presentation is prevalence and intensity of gastrointestinal nematodes infection among wild sheep kept in captivity in Faisalabad, Pakistan. First of all, introduction. Helminths are parasitic worms that were feed on living host to gain nourishment and safety while inflicting terrible nourishment absorption, weakness, and disorder within the host. The foremost gastrointestinal nematodes infecting the small ruminants include Haemonchus contortus, Trichostrongylus species, etc. Parasitic gastroenteritis infestation generally cause profuse diarrhea, decreased performance, weight loss, and in some cases, anemia. Wild sheep are very sensitive to many parasitic diseases. For example, trichostrongylosis, meratodiosis, etc. These diseases cause health problem and animal die prematurely and cause economic losses. Parasites cause many problems for wildlife, and although wildlife often adapted to the presence of parasite, but they do not adapt the adverse effect of parasites. In the wild, animals have a certain natural resistance or balance to the parasite, but in captivity, the changes in environmental and living condition affect the behavior and ecology. Hence, the susceptibility to parasitism is increased. The staff plays an important role in the transmission of parasite among animals in a zoo through their shoes, claws, food, hands, or with working tools. Another possibility of parasitic transmission is animals themselves when they are moved from one enclosure to another without proper parasitic treatment. The present study was to assess the helminths infestation in the white sheep at Katwala Park, Faisalabad, and to collect and in vitro culture the eggs or oocysts from cases of helminths infestation where required, and materials and methods. A total of 120 fecal samples of wildlife sheep, Ovis orientalis, of all ages and sexes was collected in the period from October 2020 to March 2021 at the Wildlife Park, Gatwala, Faisalabad, from the ground after defecation at the morning of the day. About 50 to 100 grams of feces was placed in a polythene bag. The correctly labeled and properly numbered polythene bags containing the fecal samples with all required information was brought to the Laboratory Department of the Zoology, GC University, Faisalabad. All samples were examined and the samples were processed for microscopic examination. Adapting the special modification of the McMaster techniques for helminths, samples of 4.5 gram of fecal feces was weighed and mixed thoroughly in 40.5 ml of saturated salt, that is a sodium chloride solution, has the specific gravity of 1.20. Then stained using a sieve with an aperture width of approximately 1 millimeter and the debris discarded. Then 0.5 ml of the resultant solute was transferred into a double chambered McMaster slide. The slide was then left for 5 minutes to allow all the fecal samples, fecal debris with a specific gravity higher than 1.20 to sink the helminth's egg. EPG, that is egg per gram number of is calculated by number of eggs multiplied by 100, where 100 is the dilution factor. Many nematode eggs are alike, and species such as Haemonchus ostatagia, Trichostrongylus copria cannot be clearly differentiated from the eggs in fecal samples. Then the feces which are found positive for the egg parasite for identification, so exact identification, the using spatula and many fishes were placed in a glass jar on petri dish, which were closed and incubated at 27 degrees centigrade Celsius for 7 days. After incubation, samples were examined for larvae. Larvae were identified with the help of keys. Then shows these are the results. Um, four types of uh, four types of nematodes or species were identified. These figures shows the eggs of the different samples of nematodes which were identified. The Trichostrongylus species egg. This is the Ostratagia species egg, and this is the Trichura egg. This table shows the overall prevalence of gastrointestinal wild nematodes among the wild sheep at Katwara Park, Faisalabad. Four types of parasites were identified. That is Trichostrongylus species, Haemonchus contutus, Ostratagia species, and Trichura. These table shows the occurrence of rate of prevalence of different species of nematodes uh, uh, out of 120 samples which were infected. Samples were infected with the Trichostrongylus species, which was 58.33%, while the other Haemonchus, Ostratagia or Trichurus 15%, 10% or 8.3%. The highest infection was with the nematode of Trichostrongylus species, having egg per range 100 to 200, mean value 157.92. And then others, while the egg per range was 100 to 300 are noted. This table shows the prevalence of gastrointestinal nematodes in male and females. Wild sheep, so that is Ovis orientalis at Katwala Park, Faisalabad. The rate of prevalence in female species sheeps were higher as compared to male, which were 33% among female, while the 25% in male of the Trichostrongylus species. While for other species, Haemonchus, Trichurus, or Ostratagia species also show the same ratio. This table shows the prevalence of mixed infection of gastrointestinal nematodes in wild sheep. Different mix of different nematodes infection were noted, and we observed the samples had mixed infections. The overall mixed infection prevalence was 8.32%. The prevalence rate vary from 4 to 1.6%, while the egg per range was 100 to 300, 250, 250. This table shows the seasonal fluctuations, seasonal prevalence of gastrointestinal nematodes in wild sheep, Ovis orientalis. Seasonal fluctuation had significant effect of gastrointestinal nematodes in wild sheep. A relatively high infection of nematodes was seen during the summer, which was 53.32%, while in winter, 38.32%. So the infections were higher during the summer season. Then the conclusion, samples were found infected with the gastrointestinal nematodes and overall prevalence were Trichostrongylus species, that is 58.33%, then Haemonchus contutus 15%, Trichura 8.33%, and Ostratagia species 10%. The infection among females, which was 65%, was higher as compared to male. Seasonal prevalence of gastrointestinal nematodes in summer and winter was 53.32% and 38.32% respectively. The nematode infection was higher in summer season as compared to winter. The range of egg per gram vary from 100 to 300 among the nematodes. The mixed infection, Trichostrongylus species and Haemonchus contutus, Trichostrongylus species and Trichura, that is 2.5% and 1.6% respectively. The most prevalent nematode was Trichostrongylus species among wild sheep. These are the references which were cited. Thank you for your attention.